I have been dreading this day. Ever since this thing was announced, I have been dreading having to waste almost an hour and a half of my life on something that I knew from the very start was going to be garbage. That was going to be rushed out, half-ass, cash-grabbing garbage. And somehow, I was still not ready for what I was about to witness. There's 14 plus only on the thumbnail of this video for a reason. I don't want to age restrict it because that harms the views. And I can't hold back with this. I literally can't. This is the most angry that I have been at an animated movie in at least 6 years. Let that sink in. I have seen plenty of bad animated movies in the span from 2019 all the way to now. But none of them made me as furious, as angry, and as outright insulted as this piece of shit has done to me now. I mean, if you've already either seen it for yourself, in other words, I feel bad for you, or if you're someone that's just out of morbid curiosity, or you've already seen all the other reviews on the internet about how bad this movie is, you don't know the half of it. This is one of the worst fucking things I've ever seen. Ever. I shit you not. So please prepare for what may be my loudest and most angry review yet. Welcome back to Animation Station. Let's take this horrible pile of fucking shit that dare calls itself MegaMind 2 to the dumpster. And then kick that dumpster into the deepest, darkest pit of hell. This movie is not only as bad as you've heard, it's actually worse. It is a movie that is so shit, that is so not caring about its audience or the people that have waited for so many years to see this franchise come back, that it is baffling. Like, you literally wonder if these people have brain damage. That kind of baffling. To think that they actually thought that this was a good idea. Do you know how long we have been waiting for a sequel to MegaMind? 14 fucking years. 14! Almost 2 decades. We have been waiting. With the little slightest bit of hope that maybe, just maybe, DreamWorks will listen to us and we'll finally get a sequel. Or some kind of continuation of some sort. Well, we got it alright. But it was not at all what we wanted or what we expected. Instead, we reviled in horror, and we let our rage flood the internet. Rightfully so, at that. And keep in mind, this is only a month after the fucking excellent Orion and the Dark came out on Netflix. A movie that I loved so much that I gave the same score I gave the original MegaMind. I gave that movie a 9 out of 10. But this... Holy fuck, DreamWorks. This has to be your worst movie yet. Now, I can't say it's definitively your worst movie ever because Shrek 4 exists, but this is low even for you. And it's starting to make me seriously wonder to myself if your little renaissance in 2022 with two great movies was nothing more than a fucking fluke. Because all you put out since then is garbage. Yes, Teenage Kraken was not bad, but it was blatantly average. And yes, I already just praised Orion in the Dark. But then you have shit like Trolls 3. Need I say more? So, naturally, I became rather pissed seeing the announcement of this thing that dare calls itself a sequel. And you want to know the biggest reason why it calls itself a sequel when it's actually not a sequel at all? To cash in on us fans. To take all of us who have been waiting for so long to get a sequel to one of our favorite, underrated, gem animated movies, just to see it turned into this abomination. A movie that not even the most loyal and forgiving MegaMind fans can defend. It is a movie that gives me nothing but anger. And I tried to give it a fair and honest shot. Like, yes, the trailers looked fucking abysmal, but I thought, well, you know, the trailer isn't always faithful to the movie. Maybe it'll actually be better. No, it was somehow even worse than the trailer even made it look. Oh yeah, and don't forget, I had to sit through that fucking show, too. And the show's not as bad as this movie, but it is nowhere close to even good. So, I have a pretty lengthy, angry written review for this one. And I'm doing this big preamble to try and set the stage about why this movie pisses me the fuck off the way that it does. Let's just get it over with. Here is my full, angry, written review of this piece of shit that dare calls itself MegaMind 2. I hope you enjoy my anger. Headphone user warning, because by the end there is going to be a lot of screaming. Because like I said at the end of my last review, I am not holding back. Because when a movie is this shit, everything needs to be said. Literally everything. Here's my written review. I hope you enjoy. Once again, headphone user warning. This is not a sequel, as it likes to claim. Excuse me. This is not the next installment in the franchise that we've been waiting a whopping 14 fucking years for. This is a shitty extended pilot episode of a shit television show whose sole shitty purpose is to milk the franchise's resurgence in popularity for every single nickel and dime possible before Kung Fu Panda 4 arrives and takes away everyone's attention. Oh, and heads up for that one, yeah, the trailer for that one didn't look good either. And the fact that these absolutely brainless asshats had the balls to target us fans directly with their overly aggressive marketing of this shit show by falsely labeling this as a sequel is downright insulting. You wanna know why this movie sucks so bad? I'll fucking tell you all about it! My fucking computer cannot shut off. The story is abysmal and completely fucking pointless with blatant plot recycling from the first movie. The characters are awful, shallow shells of their former selves, especially MegaMind himself, who has devolved into an unlikable, stupid asshat all throughout the movie. The villains are so generic and terrible that it makes Titan look like Syndrome. The sharp, clever writing that I praise so highly in the first movie is completely gone, and replaced with writing that is so atrocious and so half-assed that it makes even the worst kids movie writing seem more tolerable and faithful to the original movie in pure comparison. Which is even worse when you realize that this is the same fucking writers as the first film. How the fuck do you fall off that quick? How? Please, fucking explain to me! Because I sure as fuck don't know. Hell, I'm sure a toddler could have written better shit than you. The humor and jokes are non-stop cringe with zero cleverness or fucks given for the audience whatsoever. Like, this movie is not funny. Like, it is nowhere close to even remotely being funny. The pacing is agonizingly slow to the point of torture. The runtime is far too long despite being even shorter than the fucking Mario movie. And it drags like a bulldozer against concrete. The ending is shit and extremely anticlimactic to a baffling degree. The music is boring and extremely forgettable. The voice acting is so lifeless and so full of no effort that it makes AI sound more appealing. Rewatchability is outright zero, and that animation is so ungodly horrendous and blatantly unfinished that it makes Superman 64 look like high art. That's no hyperbole. In comparison, between this and that, Superman 64 is more fucking appealing to my eyeballs than this piece of shit that came out decades later! So is there anything good here, or at the very least, decent? I will give it this. I will give it this one and only thing, and this saves it from being a 0, by the way. Sonic himself, Roger Craig Smith, yes, that Roger Craig Smith, as the voice of the mayor, was pretty good. And it felt like he was the one person on the voice cast who was actually trying. Like, say what you want about his performance as Sonic in some of the least liked Sonic games, he still did his best with what he was given. He's a very talented and very likable guy. And even in some of the worst projects, he always does his best, and that is more than admirable. And the jokes surrounding his character that came around towards the end of the movie was so out of nowhere and bizarre that it became the one and only time in this movie I actually laughed. But then it makes me crushed and unbelievably sad that this incredibly talented and kind guy has to have this abomination now in his filmography. You didn't deserve this, Roger. You're an amazing, talented guy, and you did not deserve to have your name stained by this piece of shit. To get this absolute fucking travesty, after waiting for so long to get a sequel to MegaMind, one of DreamWorks' most underrated and underappreciated films, is relentlessly infuriating. And to blatantly fuck it all up to this degree just to make a quick buck is absolutely unforgivable. This is almost as shitty of a sequel as Return to Zombie Island. Yes, it really is almost that bad. And just like that other shitty cash grab, it took advantage of its fan base to put out a lazy, zero-effort pile of shit to make as much money as possible before Kung Fu Panda 4 arrives and makes them even more money. Add on top of that, their release the first release of this year, Orion in the Dark, which was released directly on another streaming service, Netflix, being fucking excellent, and this absolute abomination among all cinema, all of DreamWorks history, and arguably in all of animation, which was released the exact same way, with the only difference being which streaming service, and obviously one's a franchise, one's an original, but you get my point, coming out only a month later from the same company, and it becomes outright embarrassing for everyone involved. Better films have been canned and shelved while this pile of filth got to show its poorly rendered face to the world. And a great big fuck you to all the brainless, desperate, lazy ass clown suits running corporate over at DreamWorks that actually greenlit this fucking thing in the first place. It has been a long time, like I said, 6 years since an animated movie has made me this fucking angry. And I wasn't hoping to ever come across something this unwatchable ever again. But I guess as punishment for spending so much time on Hazbin Hotel and literally singing its praises for almost an entire month, Satan decided that it was time for pure unbridled hatred to reintroduce itself into my fucking soul. Fuck this movie! Fucking straight to hell! Final verdict for this absolute abomination that brings shame and absolute fucking disgrace to the good name of the original, as well as every other movie, that I give a final verdict of 1! 1 out of 10. Avoid it like the plague. It is one of the worst sequels of all time. Up there was Return to Zombie Island. Up there was Son of the Mask. Up there with Troll 2. Up there with fucking... What's another really bad sequel? Up there with Blues Brothers 2000. Up there with Godfather Part 3. Up there with Star Wars Attack of the Clones. Up there with fucking Rise of Skywalker. This thing is shit. And I don't want any of you to subject yourself to this. I put myself through these bad movies so that you don't have to. Yes, this review was late, that's my fault, and I apologize, but the point still stands that this is garbage. And I do not want a single one of you, even out of your own morbid curiosity, to watch this trash pile. It is one of the worst animated movies that I have seen in at least a decade. It is one of the absolute worst DreamWorks movies I've ever subjected myself to. And it is going to have a nice place in history as one of the worst sequels ever made. Fuck everyone who greenlit this piece of shit. And fuck that TV show as well. It's not as bad as this movie, but it still blows. And I feel bad for the voice actors, because more than likely they were fucking blackmailed into having to deal with this shit. To have their names stained on the by the fucking legacy of this fucking shit. I can't even talk, I'm so fucking angry. Point is, do not watch this shit. I watch this shit so that you don't have to watch this shit. Avoid it. By any means necessary, avoid it. Even if you have a Peacock subscription for whatever reason, avoid it. It is not worth wasting almost an hour and a half of your life. And it's not worth wasting even more hours of your life watching the shitty TV show that this is spinning off of. This is unwatchable. And I can only hope and pray for two things. One, I don't see a film worse than this year. And 2, that Kung Fu Panda 4 is actually good. Because, let me tell you, I cannot handle another DreamWorks train wreck only a week after this fucking abomination was let out into the world. And I don't really know what else to say. Just don't watch this movie. Smack yourself a billion times in the head with the forget me stick. And just go watch the original. Pretend this fucking trash pile doesn't exist. And the fact that they actually want to make a third one. Yeah, they want to make a third movie that's probably going to be just like this, except it will be released in theaters. Don't you fucking dare! You have sullied the good fucking name of this movie well enough. Never touch this franchise again. And that's really all I have to say. I'm losing my voice at the end of this. Thank you guys so much for watching. And, I'm gonna go watch some good movies now to maintain my fucking sanity. So, until we meet again, I'm Jet Small of Animation Station, and I'll see you next time for whatever review comes next. Peace.